Hello and welcome. One of my favorite songs and really music videos back in the day was John Michael Montgomery, JMM, with the Grundy County auction. And well, in the video, that was so fun. How about some more? And I went through a bunch of codes in the 2.5 minute warning, and that was kind of fun. And I didn't go over all of them. So then let's go over some more. Let's start off with Neo. Everything you do is within your own risk, own reward. And what we're seeing in here is a situation in which it resisted this point, and then it had a nice sideways and price correction. So a decent amount of time from August the 14th to around December the 10th, and has been in a nice little up run. Again, something overextended, and I don't recommend buying it now, because if you were buying this on strength, why weren't you buying it over here? Question mark. But unless you know something different, and fundamentally, if you know the move's going to continue, then obviously very cheap prices. All right, let's shorten it out, and I can just move this in a little bit and see some shorter term data. And here we go. So short term, you see a situation in which you have this resistance level, have a nice price correction, and it's now barely breaking resistance. So there's an answer why you do buy on the shorter term analysis. I guess if we go on to, let's just click on 1 month. That doesn't change a little bit. But you can see in here that after this move, it's consolidating well, at least it's barely above it. The risk in place is, will it come down a little bit more for support? Sometimes yes. Let's just see how good the 1 day chart looks on this. And there's the early signs of such. So oftentimes you think, okay, is this going to move in any type of sideways mechanism, maybe for several days, or at least this length of duration of time over again, where we've already based resistance at the 8 handle number. Support would usually be lower than where it is. We've already been down to this little area here, 77, pretty much where it's at. But you'd think that the baseline of the support would reach a lower end, 75, 74, 73, if that's going to be the case. Also, if you're looking to buy on correctionary moves, and this is a time where you can just start doing such. You can buy very small now. If it goes down more, you have more buy orders ready to go. The risk for buying small now is if it is support, then you're going to be, market's going to be going up, and you're going along with a very tiny portion size. But that's just part of the game that I look at this being played. Let's look onto another code. Let's take a look at Omi's Go. And I think this thing is ready to go for another leg higher, probably up to the 24 number area ballpark. I like how within this chart, after this long down price correction, I don't have the 18 average, but you can tell what it's doing. It did the flattening. This is probably coming back to that 18 average area. I know that's what it would be showing. I've seen enough charts to know that situation. And I see how this level of resistance came back, and it's already gotten above that on the early stages. So I only want to take a look mainly from like December 8th on, which is about a month chart. So let's click on the 1M. And yeah, so here's that situation, resistance, and now it's been holding that level of support. There is a still possibility where it might find a higher low retracement from the support down here and this resistance, which might come in north of that 12 handle, 13 or 14 as a possibility. But it does look like there's a good risk reward situation for this thing to make a move up to about the 24 number. This is ZenCash in its entirety against Bitcoin. And after this long consolidation move down with the bottom of around October of 2017, it had this rally. So when that happens, it's important to stay and hold above this level, which is like the 18 handle here. Basically 18 was that number it needed to stay and hold above, because that was the primary resistance on everything that preceded this run higher. It did successfully do such, and it also established some resistance point in here roughly around the 45 handle. This one here came around the 38 handle, and then again around the 38 handle. So 38 to 44 becomes a big variable level. It's already gotten above that point. It's resisted at one time, and this is where it makes the higher low correction. Big situation here because it's defined that higher low to this point. It now is in a situation where you become very cautious if it breaks down below this most recent support, but it's looking like we're lifting off from this point, and on a break of this resistance level, nice leg higher, we're looking at going into the 70, 75 maybe handle, but at least a test of this previous resistance in here at about 60, I think. But considering that a break of 45, 46, you usually expect a decent sized gain. So this is something I think is worth looking at. But yes, be very cautious breaking below. But something I think that if you're looking to enter into something that might have legs to go higher, this might be one of them. Now let's take a look at UBQ in its entirety. And it traded 2015, 2016 with this level of resistance. It didn't get above it much on its rally from March of last year up to the summer highs. It barely broke resistance logarithmically, but it did noticeably. So therefore, important to hold and stay above this major point, which is exactly where this bottom happens to have arrived at. Oh, surprise, surprise. Then it's had a decent rally, and we're going to take a look at it mainly from February of last year, so 1 year chart would seem ideal. So we have the rally that comes up to this point, support, which we know long term was big at this level. And this is basically close to about a 61.8% correctionary move. Breaking above this resistance at around the 43, 44 handle, you're looking now to make a move back to a previous high and have a test in the 90s in the 90s area, as I would see it. Don't be surprised though, this thing could very easily come back to where it came from here on the 178, 180 level, 200. That is not out of the realm, and make a significant higher low from the last breakdown on the middle of December. Let's take a look at another code. This is Litecoin against Bitcoin. And what was the resistance of 2014, 15, 16? Well, it came up to here. Came a little bit here. It had a much larger move here. Support matches here. How do you do? It's came back to this high. It's had one very small correctionary price move back to that level. If this thing is ready to break out, this thing could go right now. To me, there are two things that I expect. Either a huge continuation higher. I don't know how much more, but when you're talking about 4, 5, 6, 10, 12x times later, I mean, yeah, that's possible. It could very easily come back and find higher low to this point. And higher low is like maybe like down to here at like the 34 handle. Very interesting chart to say the least. ETN or Electroneum from its entirety, and it's not that long. It just goes down from the outset, has this little sideways move, little small rally, and then it's continuing to hold and stay above its previous points, thus strengthening. We had a small level here, and then of course this range of about 769 Satoshi up to about 1,000. And here it is making the move, holding and staying within it. So let's just take a look at it for the last month. And there's that 1,000 that it's been holding and staying above. So now it's in a situation where breaking out above this resistance area field can have spectacular gains, sort of like what happened starting on January the 5th. But it could also make the higher low to this point here. And where did it come from? We're looking at about 676, 680, maybe even as low as 630. But I'd have to think that break below 700 is where it would go to if this short-term level of about 1,000 doesn't hold. Now let's bring up a POWR Power Ledger from its entirety, which isn't much, but it started off good. Had a huge run up here, then it's price correction down into the earlier stages of December. Here's a situation where it had its original breakout. It was important to hold and stay above this resistance level. It did such. Then on the break of such, nice gain. This level of support matches where it came from in here. Now it's retraced about 61.8% from this low to about this high in here and going sideways. So a lot of reason for concern if this price comes anywhere significantly lower than this support, but I would be very enthusiastic at this time frame, thinking that there's a good chance that it's not only going to break above here, probably have an easy break of this resistance as well, and then a decent size gain, and then of course correct there after that. Now let's take a look at PIVX on its entirety, going back a couple years almost. And it came out of the gate with this long sideways consolidation pattern, breaking out and then doing the same thing again. There's been a little bit of resistance in here below the previous high, as that's the area that it last came to. We can see it came down a little bit. Ready to break that stage. Maybe it can make a move up to about the 155, 160 handle that it's seen in the spring of last year. If we take a look at this through just the 1 year time frame, but even I want to eliminate this earlier data as well, just so I can see better the lines a bit better. Okay, so you see the move come up here that matches this level of resistance, a very small pullback. If that's a higher low to this level, then that's where it is, but it most certainly could match a move in between this low and this low to make a higher low. And of course, let's move on next to Ripple on its entirety. And it started off with a move up to this resistance again, and it's been in this long sideways range throughout. So big thing it needs to hold and stay above is between here and here. Now it did pierce below it, but okay, held and stayed above. We had this resistance, which was a small break on this one. It's at the stage now where if this thing goes higher, and I think it's unlikely to do given it's went straight up from here to previous high, usually you would expect either it to have a significant time and or price correction at this level. The big points, you have this level of congestion in here at roughly 4,500 Satoshi. You have this resistance level here at about 2,000 Satoshi. 2,000 though, however, is not much of a higher low in here. I'd be looking for, on a bullish level, if it is, for 4,000 to be where it finds support. Long-term speaking, if this thing doesn't hold and stay above 4,000, if you see it on any resistance level field after any big crash, then that's not good signs. For this to be bullish at the stage, it is an absolute must for this level to hold. We could end up having support hold even higher than that, maybe at about 6, 8, or 10,000 Satoshi as a possibility. Let's move on to some other codes that I don't own. And this is Veritaseum, and I want to eliminate all this early stuff. So let me take a look at this for about a 6-month time frame. Even a 3-month should work here. And this is a situation in which you've managed to break above this little resistance area field, have a nice little correctionary phase, short term, looking good. Only problem is I only trade right now on 4 different exchanges. None of them have it. I'm really having a hard time trusting HitBTC. I scaled out 100% of what I had on there out of that site, so I don't actively trade there. That's the only place I knew of where you could trade it. I think Ether Delta too, but I'm not trading there. And yes, let's move on. I got this notification on the site Cryptopia for SmartCash. At the request of the SmartCash developers, they have put this into maintenance We'd like to thank you for your patience in the meantime. And this is one code that I had moved out of that exchange to another one. So I was able to exit out of that position myself. This is something that I got in at really cheap prices. I think it was before this rally in here. It was, or when was it? I got in really cheap. Maybe the second one, but I had a lot of sideways waiting. It was a good week or so before this thing ever got going. However, it's managed to make it up to this resistance area field. If it gets above it, it's going to have some huge gains. This is the 7-day chart. I have no idea what's going on within the trading. This is what it looks like on the last 7 days, and definitely a little bit of a warning sign after you have this fall, correctionary move, and then it immediately comes with this bearish. To me, this is a bearish signal. If it goes lower, maybe I'll buy it again, and I won't regret it if it goes higher after selling it all right now. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.